Okay, so hey there guys. So today's video is going to be an eyeshadow palette review on the Lime Crime Venus XL eyeshadow palette. I picked this up about a week ago and I've been testing it out basically every time I wear makeup, and I wanted to tell you guys my review on it. I actually haven't went anywhere today besides this morning. My classes were not canceled this morning, but there was another nor'easter going on, so it's actually a lot worse than the last one we had on Friday, because I told you guys that I stayed in that day and I shot my favorites video then. I don't know when this video is going to be up. I might pick up some more things before I put this video up. I'm not sure how much more stuff I'm going to pick up from like online. I might record my haul another day, but I didn't feel like dragging everything into my room and recording a haul. I just threw on makeup for this video so I could show you guys how the palette performed. Everything, comparing it to the older Venus palettes, all that fun stuff. So I literally just stayed in my pajama shirt that I wore last night, and I'm just wearing my Doctor Strange shirt today, so I just felt like filming in it. And I finally picked up some Marvel stuff. I did just post a Hot Topic haul, so go check that out if you haven't seen it already. And I picked this up. So anyway, I've been using this palette pretty much every single day. This came out around 2 weeks ago. I will tell you guys exactly when it came out. Actually, I probably could look it up on my phone. It had like a pre-release or something. Let me just pull that up really quick. Lime Crime. Oh! Lime Crime Venus XL. So anyway, this is the third eyeshadow palette in the Venus line. There are two before this, so this is the third edition. So the first two palettes look like this. I'll break down the palette in a minute. I just wanted to show you guys the older palettes. So this is the Venus 1 palette, as you guys know. These ones were a lot smaller. That's why this one is called the XL palette. And these ones, I believe, retail for $35 each. And they're obviously available on Lime Crime's website. They look like this. They have a mirror, and they come with 8 shades. This one comes with double the amount. It comes with 18 shades instead of 8. It actually comes with more than double the amount. It comes with 18 shades. So since there's only 8 pans in each of the smaller palettes, it comes with 2 more extra eyeshadows. So this is the first one. The first one has more of like a warm toned theme. As you guys know, this is like one of my all-time favorite palettes. I love this palette so much. I've worn this to death. I love it. It's definitely, these are some of the best performing mattes I've ever used. The shimmers are gorgeous as well. Aura is like my favorite shade in this palette. I love this. I can never rave about this enough. And then there is the Venus 2 palette. Now for me, when I picked up these, I picked them up both in a bundle. The only one I was really interested in was the first one. I wasn't really interested in this one, but then they had a promo going on where you get 2 basically for like 40 or 50 bucks or something. And that was basically like getting one of the, I think it was like $45 or $38, something like that. So it's basically like getting like one of the palettes for free. So I think I picked them up during Black Friday, and I've worn both of these like a million times. So this is the Venus 2 palette. It has more of a grunge theme, a little bit more cooler tone. I love the mattes in here. I love the shade Jam, Mud, and Mustard. They're beautiful. This shade Fly is gorgeous in the inner corners, and so is that Aura shade. That's like my all-time favorite Lime Crime eyeshadow is Aura. It's just amazing. I love it so much. And I'm pretty sure I do a video on eyeshadow dupes where I dupe like some, like that Aura shade and some other eyeshadows, so I can leave that linked below. Every time I say that though, I never leave anything linked below, so get on me if I don't, and I will link it for you in the comments if you guys ask me to link it. So this one, again, it's a lot more colorful. It definitely gets you more out of your comfort zone in this palette, so it's something that creates a little bit more fun looks. I usually use like these shades here, and then I'll use like this on the inner corners and this one on the lid. And they're really pretty. I just find that these ones aren't as pigmented. I mean, they're very pigmented, but I find that they kind of fade faster than the Venus 1 palette. I feel like those ones just really pack a punch, and these ones just, they kind of muddy together a little bit. But I love these 3 shades with like other lid shades that I would pair them with, and it comes out really, really pretty. So yeah, I love this palette for the fall and stuff. And this is considered the Grunge palette. I believe this is the Grunge 1 palette and this is the Grunge 2. But they're both like have like a grunge kind of theme, but this one is definitely my favorite one. So then when they came out with a third one, I wasn't sure I was going to get this, but since the eyeshadow collector in me was like, well, since you collect Lime Crime Venus palettes, I think you should get the third one. I was only going on their website to get the Lippy, the new Lippies, the lip plushies, which I do a full liquid lipstick check-in and review on, and I'm pretty sure I posted that already. If not, you'll see it probably after this video, obviously. So this is what the third one looks like. It's freaking huge. I love it, and it has a pink theme. And then the back of it has all the ingredients on it and everything. It's just so beautiful. Obviously, it's just a bigger version of this one. As you guys can see, the comparison is basically like two of these in one palette. So all the ingredients are on the back, and it has that pink golden kind of theme on the back as well. It's so pretty. And then obviously you guys want to see what the heck the palette looks like. So let me open it up for you. So first off, it comes with a plastic overlay where the eyeshadows are, but it comes with this giant mirror, and then you can flip it over, and then you can use it this way as well, and then you can take the plastic off, and then this is what the actual eyeshadow palette looks like. So it has like a beautiful gold inner packaging, and then the other side, let me see if I can do this without breaking the eyeshadows, has this huge mirror, and then it says Venus XL on it. I've been keeping the plastic on it so the plastic gets dirty, not the actual mirror, when I actually haul it. And then inside, obviously, it reveals the 18 shades. So let me just show it to you up close. So beautiful. So now let me tell you guys how much it costs and everything like that. I'm still trying to pull up the email of when it was actually released, because I'm pretty sure that I got an email, excuse me, then I got an email about when it was pre-released and everything. Because I'm pretty sure there was like a mini pre-release before it actually came out. I knew Venus, I think it came out on February 19th, 2018. And this retails for, I believe, $56. I'm going to pull it up right now on the website and show you guys how much it is. So it retails for $56, yeah, and the two mini palettes, or first and second edition, retail for $38. So obviously you're getting double the eyeshadow for such a good deal in this, because it comes with 18 shades. These come with 8. And if you bought two of these separately, it would be like $60-something. So you're getting this for $56. So I think you're saving like $10, which is like an awesome deal. This would be $66. So you're saving exactly $10 if you pick this up instead. Now, if you have the first two palettes, I think that this is different enough that you could pick this up, because I have been dying for Lime Crime to come out with neutral tone eyeshadows. I've never seen them come out with a neutral tone eyeshadow palette. So when I saw this, I was like, I need it. I know I don't need it because I have a million neutral palettes, but I was like really intrigued by it because it's different for Lime Crime. I know that so many eyeshadow brands and makeup brands just come out with so many nude eyeshadow palettes that it's like hard to determine like which one you really want and which one's different enough for your collection, because it's like, how many different neutral palettes do you need? But I thought that this was different enough, and I thought it would be absolutely perfect for February, for Valentine's Day. I was wishing that it came out for Valentine's Day because I would have totally worn this on Valentine's Day, but since it hadn't come out yet, I was like, maybe they were trying to get this to come out for Valentine's Day because it's a Venus palette, and obviously you guys know Venus is the god of love, which is the goddess Aphrodite, and that's where they center around their whole theme for all of these palettes. So let's get into the shades, and then we'll get into some swatches. So there are 3 rows of 6 eyeshadows, so that's why it comes with 18 eyeshadows. So let's start with this one up here. So we have Eden, Love, Passion, Fresca, Inspire, and Idolized. Then we have Aphrodite, New Classic, Burnt Gold, Flora, Scallop, and Celestial. Then we have Ethereal, Triumph, Supreme, Blank Canvas, Botticelli, and Goddess. So, as you guys can see, there's Aphrodite, Love, Goddess, you know, like Aphrodite and the Goddess of Love. So that's obviously the theme they were going for. Automatically, when I saw this palette, though, it kind of really reminded me of the color scheme of the Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills, which is one of my all-time favorite palettes as well. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite palettes, but we're going to get into the swatches, and then I will tell you guys what's on my eyes, and obviously what I think about the palette, but I kind of already spoiled it, but let's just get into the swatches. So, we're going to start up here, and we're going to do this row first. We're going to start with this shade called Eden. And obviously, you guys know, I usually just do finger swatches in my videos. I just find that that's just the easiest way for me to show you guys. I'm not going to sit here and swatch every shade with a brush as well, because who has time for that? So I'm just going to be doing finger swatches. So the first shade is called Eden. And this is like a really pretty, like orangey, shimmery shade. And I actually really like this color. It's really pretty. So I guess I'll swatch like them just in order first, just so you can get a feel of what they look like, and I'm really going to build them up for you. So this one's a really beautiful orangey shimmery shade. I really like this one. It's like a warm tangerine, and I think it's really pretty. So that is the first shade. Then the second shade is called Love, and this one is probably going to be like the most popular lid shade because it's a very neutral shimmery gold, and it's so pretty. So that is that color. It is a little weird that they would call like a bronzy shadow Love. And I'm wearing that one all over my lid today. That's been like my go-to neutral shade lately. But it reflects really beautifully. So as you can see, it kind of reflects kind of a gold kind of reflection in the light. And I think that's so gorgeous. So that one is Love. And as you can see, they're already swatching super pigmented. If you guys know anything about Lime Crime, or if you're a fan of the Venus eyeshadow palettes, you'll know that Lime Crime never really cheaps out on pigmentation. I was really worried about that because it was a larger eyeshadow palette. Honestly, these are all super pigmented. This one I'm going to swatch a couple of times. This one is called Passion. It's a really beautiful matte magenta shade. It swatches a little bit patchy, but on the eyes it does not apply that way. So that one is called Passion. Passion, it's a really beautiful magenta hot pink shade. I'm trying to get it to really build up so you guys can see the pigmentation. It is a really pretty shade. So that one is Passion. Then the next one is called Fresca, and this is a very unique shade to me. It's like a purple lavender shade with gold reflex in it. I think it's really gorgeous. So that one is Fresca. Not sure what Fresca means according to the Goddess of Love. Every time I look at this, I think of the drink Fresca. So that one is Fresca right here. And it's a beautiful purple shade with gold reflex in it. So that one's that shade. And then the next one is called Inspire. I've worn this one quite a few times on my lid. I've worn all of these eyeshadows a lot just so I could really do a thorough review on it. So I pretty much have used all of these at least once. Some of them I've used them more than once because this is literally the only eyeshadow palette I've been wearing since I got it. I think the only other eyeshadow palette I've worn is the newer Burberry eyeshadow palette I got, that little quad. And I think I wore... Yeah, this is the only eyeshadow palette I've been wearing. And then this shade is Inspire, and it's a really gorgeous shimmery pink shade. It's a hot pink. It's kind of just a shimmery version of Passion, but it's a little bit darker, and it's really gorgeous. So that one is Inspire right here. Really pretty shade. And then the last shade in the row is called Idolized, and this one is a pretty basic everyday neutral crease shade. So I really love they put a lot of neutrals in this palette so you can create a bunch of looks so you won't be like overwhelmed with what you're going to put in your crease. So that one is called Idolize. It's like not a full palette of pink because that would just be boring. So that one is Idolized right here. I'm going to put on a little bit more on my hand. Yeah, that one's really pigmented. It's a really beautiful, just warm matte brown. So that one is Idolized right there. So that's the first row. Now we're going to go into into the second row. And the second row, the first shade is called Aphrodite, and that one is right here. It's a really pretty, like, matte mid-tone reddish kind of shade, which I am a sucker for these kind of shades. I love them. And this one's really pretty too. There's some similar shades to this one in like the first and second palette. I would say probably the most similar shade would be Muse in the first palette, but the Muse shade has a lot more red in it. And then the other one is Mud, but Mud is more of a cooler tone red, and this one's more of a warmer tone red, just for comparison, if you guys can see that. So this one's more of like a warm toned reddish shade, really pretty for the outer corners, or to like smoke out the lower lash line. I'm gonna just do just a tiny bit more. So that one is Aphrodite, and that one is right here. It's really pretty matte red shade. Then the next one is called New Classic, and this is a really beautiful matte brown. I haven't worn this one on my lid yet, but I have worn it on my inner corners, and it was really pretty. I probably should wear this on, I probably should have worn this one on my lid actually for this video, but I wanted to wear Love on my lid again. So that one is New Classic, and look how it reflects. It's like, really reminds me of Steampunk from Makeup Geek, or there's like another shade. It's like a shade in the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. I forgot the name of it. It's like a deep brown shade, and it looks like that. I'm going to have to compare them because I have like kind of other shades that are very similar to this, but it's like a brown dual chrome shimmery shade. It's really, really pretty. Really like that one too. Let's get a better swatch of that one. That one kind of failed on me for the swatch, but I think it's, you can still see the reflection. And the next one is called Burnt Gold. And this is more of like a warm, like Swiss chocolate kind of shade. Like a brown, obviously. It's a matte brown. And this one is Burnt Gold right here. That one I love putting on my crease to like darken it up, and I did that today. It's really, really pretty. So that one is Burnt Gold. Then the next shade is called Flora. And this is definitely like the most different shade in this palette. It's a really gorgeous matte orange shade. So that one is Flora right here. And that one's really, really pigmented. That one's swatched like right away. And that one probably is the most similar to Rebirth, which is this shade right here. This one definitely has a lot more orange in it. I mean, holding them up together, they kind of look very similar. But in person, this one is definitely, it's a little bit more matte than Rebirth, and it's not as orange. It's like more orange. Rebirth, it's like a pinky orange. So that one is Flora. Then the next shade is called Scallop. And this shade I've been using as my crease shade every time I use this palette, because as my transition shade, because I feel like there's not really a lighter shade in this palette to use other than that one. So that one is called Scallop. That one doesn't swatch as well, but it's really beautiful as a transition shade. It's like a salmon-y kind of color, like a peachy salmon. So that one is Scallop right there. And then the last shade in this row is called Celestial, and this is a matte shimmery reddish shade. It's a little bit of like a reddish plum. It's also really, really pretty. That one is Celestial right there. Let's see if I can get a little bit more pigment to that one. So that one is Celestial. And that's like a matte plummy red. So that is the second row. And then the last row is this row right here. And we're going to start with Ethereal, which is this like really beautiful pink shade. And this one is like a dual chrome kind of pink. And I also love shades like that as well. So that one is Ethereal, and that one is up here. And it's like a pinky shimmery shade. It's kind of a lot more pink when you actually apply it. It's actually for some reason not showing up as pink on my hand right now, but usually I feel like it's kind of like a like shimmery pink shade. So that one is Ethereal. It's really, really pretty. I love that shade. And then the next shade is called Triumph, and this is a matte, like a little bit darker magenta shade than Passion. And that one is right here. That one is Triumph. It's like a plummy, well, actually the next one is more plummy. So this one's more of like a cooler toned pinky matte color. And then the next one is called Supreme, and this one's more of like a plummy matte shade. And that one is Supreme right there. Really pretty matte purple. I have so many cords underneath me. It's driving me crazy. So this one is Ethereal, this one is Triumph, and that one is Supreme. Then the next shade is called Blank Canvas, and this is pretty much the only matte white in the palette. It's like a brow bone highlight, basically. So that's what I've been using it for every time I use it. I've just been using this to highlight my brow bone pretty much all week. So that one is Blank Canvas. It's not really going to swatch that well because obviously my skin is as white as snow. That one is Blank Canvas right there, if you can see that. But I've just been using it as a brow bone highlight. I mean, it's actually swatching pretty pigmented in person, if you guys can see that. I think you can see it right here. Okay. Then two more shades. The next one is called Botticelli, and this is a really, really pigmented, dark red purple. It's so freaking pretty. I've been using this one on my outer corners a lot. It is so pigmented. So that one is Botticelli right here. Look how pretty that is. It's like a deep chocolatey purple. I love that shade. It's just really, really gorgeous. And then the last shade in the palette is called Goddess. And this one is a matte pinky color. It's not really a mauve. It's just a straight up blushy toned pink. Where am I going to swatch this one? I'm going to swatch it up here because I want to get more of my skin and not more of my hair. So sorry that that one's up there. So that one is called Goddess. And that's a really, really pretty blushy toned pink shade. So those are all of the shades in the palette with my fingers. I swatched them with my fingers. So yeah, those are all the shades swatched on my hand. We're just going to go through the names again and tell you guys which one's which. So we have Eden, Love, Passion, Fresca, Inspire, and Idolize. That's the first row. The second row we have Aphrodite, New Classic, Burnt Gold, Flora, Scallop, and Celestial. And then for the last row, we have Ethereal, Triumph, Supreme, Ethereal, Triumph, Supreme, Blank Canvas, Botticelli, and Goddess. Sorry about that last shade again. So those are all the shades swatched. As you can see, they're all super pigmented. So for me, I find that this palette pretty much performs the same as the first two. It has the same formula that I absolutely love from Lime Crime. I pretty much have no bad things to say about this palette. I have been loving this recently. That's why I've been using it every single day. But again, I really wanted to test it out thoroughly for you guys and tell you guys my absolute full thoughts. Is it worth it? I think it absolutely is. If you're someone that's hesitant to try Lime Crime, I am in no way telling you to go buy this. Make your own decision. I'm just saying that I think that this is a bomb formula. I've been a huge supporter of Lime Crime for a long time. I just think they have bomb products. Like, I just think they make really fucking good makeup. So, I've had this since like 2015 or something, and I've used this so much. I love this palette. I just really do, and I think they make some of the best liquid lipsticks on the market. Their liquids, I love their Velveteens. I think they're amazing. So I just wanted to tell you guys what I'm wearing on my eyes today. So for my crease, I used Scallop as a transition shade, Then I darken up the crease more with Idolized. Then I used Burnt Gold to darken up the crease more. I mean, I used this as my crease shade, and then I darkened up the crease with Burnt Gold, getting eyeshadow all over my hands. And then for the outer corners, I used this shade Celestial. I actually haven't used this shade yet, so I was like, you know what, let me throw it on my outer corners. And it looks so pretty on the outer corners. I really like how much it defined it. I think it looks so pretty. And then for the lid shade, I use the shade Love. Like I said, it's a really pretty brown shimmery shade. And then for the brow bone, I popped on Blank Canvas. Because like I said, there's pretty much no other brow bone highlights in here. And usually most palettes only come with like 1 or 2 anyway. But I'm glad that it comes with a brow bone highlight because I don't like reaching for other palettes sometimes. The only thing that I feel like this palette is lacking is a good inner corner shade. I find that they really concentrated on the matte shades and the shimmery lid shades. There probably is a really good shade in here for darker skin tones, but I feel like they didn't really put a inner corner highlight in this palette besides Ethereal, which again is fine for an inner corner highlight, but I don't exactly always want like a pinky shimmery shade on my inner corners. Like for me, I like putting like, oh, this is so hard to hold like this. For me, I like putting like a gold inner corner highlight, like a white shimmery shade, you know, like Kat Von D's Thunderstruck, Makeup Geek's Magic Act, or In the Spotlight, or Starry Eyed, anything from Makeup Geek basically that are like one of those staple foiled shadows in my collection for me. Today I'm wearing Let Me Explain by ColourPop on the inner corners because I don't necessarily want to use this pinky shade all the time on my inner corners. I find that the rest of them are too dark to put on my inner corners. So that's the only complaint that I have about the palette. I have no complaints about how they perform. I've done multiple looks with these palettes. I've worn all of these shades on my lid and some of them in my crease. And I actually did dust just a tiny bit of this Flora shade in my crease just to give it a hint of warmth, and it looked so pretty. I just put it a little bit on the top of my crease after I put on Idolize because I hadn't used this shade yet, and I'm like, you know what, let's work it into this look somehow. So then now I've literally used every single shade in the palette. I think that every single shade is usable and wearable. I think you could kick it up a notch. I think you could just keep it very neutral for every day. I think you could do a crap ton of looks and different things with this palette. That's why I love it so much. Did I need another eyeshadow palette? No. But since I thought that this looked so pretty and they finally came out with a neutral palette, I was like, I really, really, really want it and I really want to try it. So I'm really happy that I picked it up. I'm so glad it's the same formula that I love. If you swatch these, like dip your fingers in these, some of the mattes are going to feel very dry, but also they are super pigmented. They're a little bit hard to blend, so be careful blending them. But also, like, I don't find any trouble really blending them out, but be careful applying them. You need the smallest amount because these are super pigmented. They're not going to be like a hot mess, but make sure you put on a transition shade before you put on any crease shades. I tried to just throw on this shade Idolize like really quickly when I was gonna film my favorites video on Friday. I had to wipe it off. I only did the crease shade and I was like, oh my god, this is so pigmented that it blended horribly. So I had to go in with Scallop first and then put Idolize on top, which is exactly what I did today, and it blended out just fine. I'm like, yeah, I need a transition shade because transition shades sometimes are really important. Like sometimes I'm just like, oh, I don't need one today. What's the point of them? But they honestly really help to blend. So that's why people use transition shades. Like I sometimes think like, oh, I'm just going to throw it on. But no, like you have to use a transition shade sometimes, especially with very pigmented eyeshadows. I find that they perform really well. I haven't had any problems with them creasing really. I haven't really found any of them really crease too much. Like any of the lid shades really, maybe a little bit. Like I'm wearing that shade Love and it is transferring a little bit, but nothing too crazy. And they also don't really have that much fallout at all. They can be a tiny bit patchy if you wet your brush. What is in my eye? I think that's just my contact showing a little bit. I can find that they can be a little bit, what was I saying? Not patchy. Um, this one, like the pinkier shades are a little bit harder to blend. Like I usually, when I use the pinky shades, because I've been actually using these three shades in my crease because I've been wearing a lot of pink. I wore my Beauty and the Beast shirt on Monday, and that has like roses and like purples and pinks in the shirt. And then I also wore my Aristocat shirt yesterday, and I was wearing this palette as well in that video, my Hot Topic haul, and I was wearing that Aristocat shirt. So I wore this eyeshadow palette in that video as well, and I was wearing like all three of these shades. So I usually take Goddess in the crease first, and then I darken up the crease more with Passion, and then I put Triumph on the outer corners. I find that Passion's a little bit harder to blend, but that does usually happen with like matte pink eyeshadows because they have a lot of red in them. So just be careful, just saying, take your time a little bit more with those. I do find it kind of like, it's not like my favorite crease shade because it kind of emphasizes a little bit of texture. But other than that, it is a beautiful shade and it still blends out beautifully. It's not like a complete turnoff for me. I'm still going to use the palette as much as I can. But yeah, I've worn Eden on the lid, Love on the lid, Inspire on the lid, Fresca, Ethereal. Yeah, I pretty much have worn all those on my lid. The only one I haven't worn on my lid is this shade Celestial and this shade New Classic. But I've used all of the matte shades, and I've used these two shades on my inner corner. So I've used every single shade to really test it out thoroughly for you. Again, I just really wish there was a good inner corner shade. When I tried to use this Love shade as an inner corner shade, it was just too dark. Like, I could have pulled it off, but I like, you know, a very light inner corner shade, you know, because I have light skin. So I was just wishing that there was probably not this Flora shade in here. This is probably the only shade that I would take out of here just because I feel like this is the only shade in here that doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, yes, it still works. It's still beautiful, and it's not like something that's completely random, but I feel like they threw in this shade to be a pop factor shade, and if you guys don't know what that is, it's basically throwing an eyeshadow into a palette to make you more attracted to the palette for you to pick it up and for you to buy it. Like the Wet n Wild Not a Basic Peach palette that I just got. That could have been a beautiful neutral palette, but for some reason they threw that blue in there. It's like a matte turquoise blue, and I haven't even used it yet, and I probably won't ever use it, which is annoying. Like, there's obviously other eyeshadows and palettes that you use more than others, but I feel like I'm never going to use that, but I feel like the only reason why they put that in there is because it's a blue eyeshadow and you're just like, oh, I'm going to use this, but it's like, no, you're going to use more of the neutral shades because that's obviously what you're going to wear more every single day. So again, overall, I love this. I actually wore Fresca on the lid a couple of days ago, and it was really pretty. It was like kind of like a matte lid look, but this is the only palette I've been wearing this whole week, and that's usually really hard for me to do because like I have so many eyeshadow palettes, but I feel like I've been wearing a lot more eyeshadow lately because I'm in school now. So it hasn't been as hard for me to just stick with one palette now. And plus there's so many eyeshadows in here that it's not hard for me to just wear one eyeshadow palette. But when I first got this, I was like, I could not wait to wear it. So I wore it to work. I wore it the whole weekend. And I really have tested this out a bunch for you guys. And I really do love it. So that is it for me. I just can't hold this up anymore. It's pretty heavy. So I'm going to put this away. But yeah, I have really no complaints about it. Again, it really doesn't have that much fallout. For me, now I always put on my eyeshadow first, so I would recommend doing that. And there's really no other transition shade in this palette either. I don't find there's really another shade I could use. It's probably the only other downfall is that I wish I could use another shade besides Scallop, but I feel like that's the only shade that's like a closest transition shade for me, because all these other shades are obviously too dark for me to use as a transition shade. But I guess they're like already thinking, if you get this palette, maybe they're thinking that you're already a eyeshadow collector. But I also feel like this would be a good beginner palette too, because it has neutrals in here, but at the same time is that since they are very pigmented, they're a little bit harder to blend, so maybe it's not that great for beginners. But it does give you a very wide range of eyeshadows that are neutral shadows that you can either kick up a notch or keep very neutral by just using like the browns like I did. So yeah, But I feel like they could have put another transition shade in here as well. But I don't know. Maybe I would have taken out that Supreme shade. What's the other shade that's like very similar to Passion? Actually, no. I think both of those are really pretty. So, yeah, I really wouldn't take out any other shade. I think all the other ones are really beautiful. I just really love the color story of this. I think it makes really... I feel like they really just take the time to really like figure out what should go in an eyeshadow palette. And I feel like that's why it takes her longer to come out with eyeshadow palettes. My God, this is not going in properly. So yeah, I love it. If you guys didn't know, Lime Crime is available on limecrime.com, on Ulta.com, UrbanOutfitters.com, and I think also there's another website. I have to link it below. But I always pick up mostly everything from Lime Crime on limecrime.com because there was another promo going on where there was a free Velveteen if you purchase something $75 or more. So I got the lip plushie, this, and then I got a free Velveteen. So that's pretty much it. But again, I wasn't intending on picking up this palette. But then when I kept on looking at it online when I was going to get the lipstick, I'm like, I need it. So yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. So please like and subscribe. Follow me on all my social media and let me know what you guys think of Lime Crime. I always get some controversial comment on my posts, but I just think that she's not as like controversial or as annoying as Jeffree Star is, so that's why I still like her products. And her products really have never let me down. Maybe there's a couple of Velveteens that I don't really love. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, Lime Crime is the best ever, but I do really love their brand. I love her highlighters. I think her highlighter palettes are great. Her highlighter palettes are great. Most of her Velveteens I absolutely love. And I also really love her unicorn lipsticks. And I think that her eyeshadows are bomb. Like, I love the Venus palette. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And let me know if you guys have picked up any new eyeshadow palettes, what I should try out, what you think I would like. And if you guys have picked this up, please let me know what your thoughts are. But it's very substantial packaging. Oh, one more thing. I really feel like Lime Crime stepped up their packaging like big time. This came fully wrapped in plastic, like it had a plastic case, and then it was also wrapped in bubble wrap. So if Lime Crime can do that, but Nordstrom or Anastasia Beverly Hills literally just throws in a makeup product just wrapping it in tissue paper, and that's pretty much it. Like, they just wrap it a little bit in tissue paper. Like, they don't seal anything, and they don't put any tissue paper in the box besides what's around the actual product. So I'm like, why is it that all these online makeup brands, like, I just got a package from Beauty Bakery today, and it was beautifully wrapped. It had, like, all this really beautiful tissue paper in here, like this, and it came with bubble wrap on the actual palette that I got. And then a bunch of these things. I hate these things, but at least you know that nothing's going to happen to it if it's wrapped like that. So it's like, why is it these big companies, like, don't really care? Like, I love Anastasia and stuff, but it's like, come on, you're Anastasia Beverly Hills. Obviously, you can afford nice packaging. You're, like, the biggest beauty brand. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, bye, guys.